DemocracyNow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. We're broadcasting from the U.S. Climate Change Conference here in Lima, Peru. We're broadcasting from Peru, which is the first time a COP, the Conference of Parties, this UN climate summit in 20 years, has been held in the heart of Amazon country. Well, on Thursday, I spoke to the man who crunched the numbers on the Keystone XL job creation, has raised a lot of questions about.
My name is Sean Sweeney. I co-direct Cornell University's Global Labour Institute, and I'm also here representing trade unions for energy democracy.
So I just tried to ask Secretary Kerry about Keystone XL. He didn't answer the question. Vice President Gore did. He's opposed. I asked Todd Stern, the chief U.S. climate negotiator. He wouldn't answer the question. You've been involved at a high level when it comes to Keystone XL and providing the numbers for President Obama around it. Is that right?
That's correct, yes, the job figures.
What have you found?
Well, the jobs debate has been severely distorted by TransCanada Corporation and the American Petroleum Institute. They put forward numbers that really cannot stand up to serious scrutiny. Based on normal research practices and methodologies, the numbers are far, far higher than actually real. The numbers submitted to the State Department were far, far lower, and this is borne out with the State Department's environmental impact statement.
Did you brief President Obama yourself?
No, but we know that the president read the report. It was called Pipe Dreams, Jobs Gained, Jobs Lost in the construction of Keystone XL pipeline, because he made reference to the figures.
Because that is the issue that's raised so often, that environmentalists are killing jobs by killing the Keystone XL. Explain how you arrive at your numbers and how many jobs would be lost or gained.
Well, in many respects, the numbers were submitted by TransCanada to the State Department, and we simply interrogated the claims of the multiplier effect, which wonky researchers understand is the jobs that indirect and induced jobs that would be created by a certain amount of dollars spent on a project. The numbers, you'll notice, Amy, have not gone down with the jobs, even though the project is half completed. So the numbers that they originally claimed 3 years ago have not gone down at all, but at least or almost half of the pipeline has actually been constructed.
Why haven't they gone down?
Because it's it's really about the atmospherics around the project. If it's perceived as being a jobs lifeline for out of work union members, then that's the message that they have to stick to.
And what about the division within the labor movement? Even here at the COP, the more conservative unions, the other unions, where do the unions fall?
It's kind of three camps, really. There's the AFL-CIO itself, which has really got its hands tied by the building trades position on climate change, which is don't give away the store to China. There's no point U.S. having an aggressive emissions reductions policy because there's so much coal coming on in China. So it's kind of holding back the U.S. negotiators from, if they were so inclined, to move in a more ambitious direction. And then on the other side of it is the unions like the nurses unions, the transport unions, healthcare workers generally, domestic workers. Their policy is much more in tune with the social movements around climate justice, the need for a really aggressive approach to emissions reductions, and the need for real job creation in numbers that would really matter to people.
And who's winning?
Well, if you'd asked me 3 years ago, I would say that those on the side of climate inaction were winning. I think that has changed dramatically in recent years. It's been a very difficult struggle within the U.S. trade unions. They're under attack on so many fronts. But we're seeing now the emergence of a cohort of unions who are really beginning to grasp what it means to take on climate change, but also do it in a way that stands for equity, justice, and true sustainability.
And why does climate justice appeal to domestic workers, to nurses and others?
Well, let's take the nurses union, for example. They were the first union probably to send 3,000 nurses to relief work in the Philippines after Yolanda. They were there when Sandy hit the New York and northeastern region. They've been there when pet coke dust flies all over working class neighborhoods. So they see the impact of fossil fuels close up. And they see it as really an extension of advocating for their patients. Same with transport workers. They know what it's like to breathe in fossil fuel particulates. They know what it's like to try to service communities that are suffering from asthma. Their own members are suffering from inhalation of diesel fumes and other pollutants. So it's kind of the fight against to transition in an equitable, democratic way over a period of decades really is a major struggle within the trade unions, but there's a belief now that this can be done in a way that is can address the very serious nature of the climate crisis, but do it in a way that really links unions with working class communities. Domestic workers, many of their members, like the healthcare unions, are not born in the United States. They're immigrants from countries that have really been severely affected by climate change.
What's the alternative to Keystone XL?
Well, hopefully there'll be a planned wind down of the tar sands. There's over 75,000 workers in the tar sands. We don't want to pull the plug on them. We believe that there's a potential for a massive scale-up of renewable energy, probably done under public ownership and social control. That's really the most important dimension. To leave it to private corporations who charge high fees for electricity produced by renewable energy in the form of power purchase agreements is not the way we want to go. Trade Unions for Energy Democracy is a network of unions in the global north and south are advocating for these kind of public control measures, sort of a real New Deal approach that really takes a public goods puts public goods in the equation. Everybody benefits from emissions reductions, so why can't we all be part of that solution?
Any prediction which way President Obama will go on the Keystone XL?
Well, I have to believe he's going to say no. Not because I'm emotionally attached to it like everybody else involved in that struggle, but I think that the president has nothing to gain and everything to lose if he goes yes on Keystone. To cave in to the enemies of workers and communities all over the world in the form of Koch brothers and the big oil companies, to me would be political suicide, not just for Obama, but probably for the Democratic Party as well. So I'm really confident it's going to be a no.